You know how we all have these different parts inside of us that we do not reveal to everybody. We reveal those parts to our closest people, maybe our intimate partner and our closest friends, but we don't show the world every single part. And that is because we are scared of judgment. We're scared of not being liked. We are scared of being judged. And I'm going to talk to you about why it's absolutely crucial to start bringing out those parts to be seen by the world. But it needs to happen in a way that it's not going to contract you further, that initially you will feel the contraction, but it will ultimately lead to your expansion, especially if you are wanting to be some sort of leader in the spiritual arena or in the personal development arena, because authenticity is everything in today's world. And authenticity means that we don't hide the parts of us that are messy. We don't hide the parts of us that feel very raw. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me yesterday and take you through that process. So, what actually happened yesterday was that I did a very raw video, and the video was called F the Ego. And I was feeling very, very passionate about it. And I started to drop some F bombs. And that's what happens when I feel passionate. I do start to drop the F bombs. And I don't do that publicly. That's something that I don't often do publicly. I have done that in my Facebook groups before where I have felt very comfortable, but and in my retreats where I get very comfortable, but it's not something I do publicly. And I'm not the kind of person it's a natural thing for me to be swearing through the day. But when I do get very passionate about something, that's something that I do tend to do is I do tend to swear. But I don't swear at people ever. So it's not about holding anger. It's not about projecting anger at anybody. It's about something. So yesterday, what I was talking about was the illusion of the ego and how we allow it to control our lives and how we've been taught by people that we need to befriend our ego, we need to love our ego, that ego is there to keep us safe, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff I actually do not believe. And I did a video about that yesterday, and it's called F the Ego. But then what happened was that later on that night, just before I went to sleep, the ego started getting to me, because that's what actually happens. The ego comes to you to annoy your peace. If you're too peaceful, the ego will come in to actually disrupt your peace, because then it has a role to play. So last night, just before I went to sleep, the ego started, which was, oh, you shouldn't have done that video. Maybe you need to go and delete it because you dropped way too many F bombs. What's this person going to think? 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 And in that minute, I was thinking, should I go and delete those videos? Should I go and delete those stories, especially from my personal Facebook where there is so many people that are friends and family? Should I? And in the past, when I have done something edgy and raw and messy, I have actually gone back and deleted it and went, oh God, I don't want that to be out there. But this is the thing, that when we meet our edge, which is something that feels uncomfortable, the edge is actually an initiation. Every time you meet that raw, uncomfortable feeling, it's a threshold between your old self and what you're becoming. So most people retreat when they get uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. They don't want to show up like that. But transformation requires you just to stick with it, just stay with it. And the way that I actually explained it to myself last night is, well, this is all an illusion. This is all your creation. This whole life is your creation. It's all your projection. So what if you swore your guts out in one particular video? Who cares? Like, it's all made up anyway. And so what? It is a part of you. When you do get passionate, you do drop F bombs. Who cares? Just let it go, girl. Those people that will judge you, they're not your people anyway. Just let it go. And so, what actually happens when we go to that edge and we meet that edge and we get uncomfortable is that it brings out something that has been suppressed for a long time. So, meaning that you need to stop numbing it and start finally, finally looking at it because your body is the messenger and discomfort shows up in the nervous system before the mind makes any kind of sense of it at all. So last night I started to feel uncomfortable in my body. It was like, oh, what am I feeling uncomfortable about? Oh, that's what it is. It's the video that I did today. Even though that video felt very, very real to me, and it was showing a part of my very authentic self, the part of me that's full of fire and passion, and the part of me that I do need to ignite at this point of my spiritual journey. And so when you do feel that tight chest, when you do feel that gut, that sort of clenching, when you do feel that kind of restless energy, it's not a problem for you to fix. It's just something that your soul is saying to you. Just pay attention to what's going on at this very moment. And at this very moment, what was actually happening was that I was meeting a part of me that I don't actually show to the world very often. And so it's necessary to do that. As leaders, as teachers, it's necessary to go forward first. And that means to present ourselves in a way that isn't necessarily polished, that isn't necessarily love and light, that isn't necessarily, oh, isn't she lovely? Isn't she a beautiful person? Isn't she beautiful? It's just like the raw, messy human side of us. And so the ego's last defense is that the moment you do something that's a bit edgy or raw, it brings up judgment, it brings up blame, it brings up projection. And that resistance is the ego's way of keeping that mask on, firmly on. But if you just stay with that uncomfortable feeling and just get used to that uncomfortable feeling, the mask starts to crack and it reveals hidden parts of you that you haven't released before. And maybe, now this is something edgy that I'm going to say here, and maybe that part of you is scared to come out because that part of you in a past life was killed for it. Maybe that part of you was burnt at the stake for saying your truth. And yet here you are saying it again. Here you are putting yourself in danger, but this time it's not real danger. In the past, it may have been. It may have been that you were killed, your family was killed for saying certain things. And in fact, even in this lifetime, in many different parts of the world, there are many, many things that people cannot say because they're illegal. And so when we do step up and say those things that do feel edgy, when they are revealed, they stop controlling you in the shadows. And now every one of us has judged other people for showing the true part of them. I know that I have. I know that in the past, when somebody was swearing too much, it was like, oh God, that person's crude. She's not my person. Or if they're too loud, it's like, oh, that person is so loud. She's not my person. But what was actually happening now that I can see back on it was like, oh, she's daring to be showing her true self. And unconsciously, I wasn't aware that I was not daring to show my true self. I was not aware that that part of me was a part of me that I wasn't prepared to put out into the public arena. But when we do that, when we step forward in our authenticity, people think they're being authentic, but they're really not. People think that if they say a story about their life, they're being authentic. That's not being authentic. That's just one aspect of it. Authenticity is about showing the true you, the parts of you that you don't get online and talk about, the messy parts, the raw parts, the insecure parts, the parts that feel unsafe. There are very few people on social media that actually do that. One of the people that does do that is Laurie Ladd. She actually gets out there. She's a spiritual teacher. She's the one that I went to Kenya with in February. And there's no one else I would have gone to Kenya with apart from Laurie Ladd, because I love how she just puts it all out there. Even when she's feeling like she's not a good teacher, even when she's feeling like she's insecure, even when she's feeling like she's had a bad day, a sad day, an angry day, a frustrated day, she goes out there and tells people, and it becomes a teaching moment. So she's not just going blah, but it actually becomes a teaching moment, and it actually gives us permission to do that ourselves. And so there's no bypassing on this journey if you want to be a leader in the spiritual community or any community. You can't love and light your way out of it. You need to go past the edge and then go into the edge. And then you breathe into it and just watch as that charge dissolves. So I'm so glad that I didn't delete the video that I did yesterday about fuck the ego. I'm really, really glad that I didn't do that. I didn't delete the video, because that is a part of me. I do get fired up about things that I'm very, very passionate about. And so I'm glad that I actually did talk about it and I did leave it up there. And so my invitation to you is, how do you start to reveal those parts of you that you keep so hidden, in this day and age of filters and everybody wanting to appear a certain way, and we have influencers that look a certain way, sound a certain way, and they're also perfectly put together, and it puts so much pressure on people who are watching those people, our young people who are looking up for role models, that these are the people they're looking up to. So how about we give them a permission slip to be normal and to be real and to be raw? And so how do you start meeting your edge? Start meeting your edge by just speaking to people in your world and saying things that you wouldn't normally say. So start bringing up conversations you wouldn't normally bring up. Perhaps when somebody says to you, so how are you today? Say the truth. So rather than say, oh, I'm really good. I'm really good. How are you? It's like, oh, you know what? I'm really feeling a bit off today. And make that okay that you're feeling off today. So maybe start with those conversations, with honest conversations in your world. Maybe when you go into the supermarket and you say, how are you? And you get that question back, maybe just be honest. And then if you are someone who wants to be leading some sort of modality in the new world, that you start getting raw and feel it when it's a bit edgy. Feel it when the fire is there, and just let yourself be expressed. Because yesterday, when I allowed myself to be expressed, what I actually did was I loosened up my throat chakra. And so now I woke up actually looking forward to speaking on social media. I have not wanted to speak on social media for years. So I was someone who used to speak on social media every single day because I felt that it was part of the work that I did, and that's how I got my clients in the past. And then when I had my spiritual awakening and went into the void, I had no interest. I didn't have anything to say, and I didn't want to speak to anybody. And every time I went on social media, it felt very, very forced. Like I just did not want to speak. I felt like I had no value to add to what everybody else was saying and all the noise out there. And it was only after I surrendered that I was able to really surrender, not just, so there's different levels of surrender, and I'll do another video about that another time. There are different levels of surrender. We think we're surrendering, we're actually not. But when I actually surrendered, and I gave it all up to God to take care of it for me, all of a sudden I start to feel the fire inside me where I did actually want to speak. I looked forward to speaking, and I want to share. And there's something I want to do tomorrow on YouTube, which I'm really excited about. I was going to do it today, but logistically it didn't work out. But it's something edgy, and it's something I haven't seen anybody else do on social media, but maybe they have, but I haven't seen it. I'm not a TikTok follower. I am on TikTok. I post, but I'm not a follower. I don't watch people, and that's usually where trends are made. So I don't know if someone else has done it, but I haven't seen it, and I'm going to do it tomorrow on YouTube. It is edgy and it is kind of fun as well. And that's what this work has got to be in this new world. It's got to be fun. That's why the word work is not even appropriate. It's got to be fun because you're sharing your magic, you're sharing your light, you're sharing your learnings, you're sharing your insights as you go along. It doesn't have to be after you've made the learnings, after you've made the money, after you have the followers. As you go along, you share your insights and your learnings. And so, if this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share, put a comment. It really helps the algorithm because I'm only just getting back into it with all my heart, and I want to share so much more. And these messages have been real, authentic, and raw, and living in your truth need to be shared with the world. And so let's do that. Let's actually live in our truth, whatever that truth looks like, whether it's messy, whether it's raw, whether it's joyful, whether it's frustrating, whatever it is. Let's just share it. Let's be our true selves. And sometimes we drop F bombs, sometimes we don't, because that's who we really are. And notice every time you judge somebody else for being raw, and for being real and for being themselves, as to what part of yourself you're actually repressing in the process. Notice. Okay. So live in truth. Please like, please comment. Sending you so much love. So much love.